Well, here we are on a Wednesday night, the 13th of August, and we've got showers and thunderstorms moving through uh, New Jersey and Long Island, New York City, the Hudson Valley. Joe Rayo is going to be covering all of that. We've got some showers and storms also going on in parts of the south and southeast with all sorts of flood watches up. And Tropical Storm Erin finally getting to a place where we're seeing it becoming better organized, and we're going to be going through all the machinations of the weather models today. Right now, it's the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. And you can support the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. Do your Amazon shopping using our referral link that's on the descriptor to this podcast under the title on YouTube. Just search for your stuff and shop. Amazon throws us a little coin for sending you there. The podcast live version stays commercial free, and it doesn't cost you 1 cent out of your own pocket. Excuse me. So, thank you for those. Yes, thank you for those of you who have supported us by shopping on Amazon. And if you're shopping for weather gadgets and gizmos, well, take a look at Tempest by WeatherFlow, the revolutionary Tempest weather system. You can join the fastest growing observing weather network on the planet. It's easy to install, whether you live in a house or if you live in an apartment and you've got a fire escape, you can put it up there. I can't imagine somebody wanting to steal a weather station, but you never know. Well, the link for this is pinned to the top of the chat board. It's also on the descriptor to this podcast. And we have a coupon code, Joe Rayo, right?
Yes, indeed. Summer 2025, Joe.
And something magical happens if they use the coupon code Summer 2025.
They're going to get 10% off anything that they purchase at Tempest. Sounds like a good deal to me.
Works for me too. So anyhow, we've got some thunderstorms rolling through. You know, I kid around about the fact that the folks at SPC and the folks at WPC and the folks at Upton and at Mount Holly, that they're quietly lurking in the background watching the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. And last night, I mentioned about the fact about putting up a marginal risk for severe weather. And lo and behold, magically today, the risk for severe weather did appear on their forecast map.
Yep.
So, it leads you to wonder. I mean, I say it kidding around, but it leads you to wonder sometimes whether they really are watching the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast, which is on Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m.
Well, they might very well. And it turned out to be a good move because I could tell you that right here in my local area, we had lots of thunder rumbling about during the mid to late afternoon and had a few very heavy downpours that put in my rain gauge a little over 1 1/3 inches of rain. That's quite a bit more than I've seen in many days here. And we're not out of it yet. We still have a chance for showers, although I think the threat of showers will be diminishing during the overnight tonight. And then we have more scattered showers and possible thunderstorm activity for tomorrow before things dry out and turn just a tad less humid. Not a tremendous drop, but a noticeable trend toward lowering humidity here as we kick off the end of the week on Friday.
Yeah, I think it's basically northern New Jersey, New York City, maybe Long Island, and points north and northeast see a brief, small dew point drop. But to the south of there, it may be a bit more of a struggle, and then it doesn't matter because the humidity is going to come back up. Although it doesn't, I mean, it's going to be very warm and very humid. I don't know if we're going to push the envelope because of the winds coming in off the ocean might actually help to hold the temperatures down just a bit over the weekend. But nonetheless, it is going to be steamy. By the way, here in North Georgia last night, I had 2 1/3 inches of rain.
Wow.
And an additional couple of tenths this afternoon. And I think there's more coming, which we'll take a look at on the radar. But Joe's going to getting the radars ready even as we speak. So I'll just give everybody a big hello on the chat board. And those of you who are watching in the background, lurking about, as I'd like to put it, we welcome you too with open arms here on the Joe and Joe Weather Show podcast. I don't need to say again that we're on Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m. But subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn your notifications on so you don't miss us. Especially, if we've got Erin out there, so you might be wondering what's going to be going on with that. Of course, if we wind up adding something, I don't think we're going to this weekend, but if we ever are adding a show on a Friday or a Saturday, which we do sometimes, we'll let you know that way. And if you liked the show tonight, hit the like button. So you ready to do the radars?
I'm all set.
Well, go for it.
All ready to go. Let me get the share button here, which I will do momentarily. There we are. So we're going to hit the share button, and we're going to start off with New York City, Upton. And this is a 3-hour loop, and you can see that there are areas of orange and red indicating the heavy-duty activity that I had alluded to. And yes, we did see some of that activity up here where I am. Notice, however, that across much of northern New Jersey, as we reach the final few frames of the loop, much of northern New Jersey is out in the clear. There is not much in the way of precipitation, and it's also moving at a fairly progressive rate to the east. Cecilia Hernandez, you had asked about whether or not they would be able to play the game at Citi Field tonight. I do believe they will. I do believe that they will have a break in the action in terms of precipitation, and they'll have enough time to take the tarp off the field, dry things out. I'm not exactly sure when they could kick off or get going with the game. I'm assuming that the game is in a delay right now, and if it is, they may very well be able to get things started maybe about a quarter after 8 or 8:30. But you could see just looking at the radar that things will be improving because drier weather is moving in from the west. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that we have seen the end to the rainfall or precipitation, because if we take a look at the Dover Air Force Base radar, Ellendale radar, you can see that there are a few widely scattered showers back to the west, which may cross through during the overnight hours. In fact, let's see, this is State College, Rush. And, there are some showers here and there. Don't think that we're going to be totally dry through the latter part of the night tonight, but a shower may pass on by. But the worst of it, the heavy duty stuff, is pretty well done, or is pretty well behind us now in New York City and areas points west. Let me just take a look at the Binghamton radar. You can see that there are a few scattered showers up there. Again, the main bulk of the precip passing across southeastern New York and northern Jersey and out to the east. So we're pretty well done with that. I want to go up to Boston because I noticed that there was an area, here it is, right here, passing across southern New Hampshire, and this area is loaded with moderate rainfall, and also just to the north of Boston, across lower sections of New Hampshire and extreme northeastern Massachusetts, there are some possible embedded thunderstorms. This too, moving on a pretty good course toward the east and should be offshore, probably inside of the next hour or so. You can see an area here in Connecticut, across western Connecticut, starts off with reds and oranges and then kind of peters out or diminishes a bit with time. There's still one more round of moderate rainfall that'll be moving across places like Ridgefield over the next hour or so, and then that should be done. And again, for the rest of the night in the Nutmeg State, maybe a passing shower or two, but again, the worst of it is now, or has been up until now, and will be pretty well over with by, for the most part, later tonight. Further south, let's go to High Top, Alabama, which includes northern sections of Georgia, Also, northern sections of Alabama, central sections of Tennessee. They do have some rain and shower and embedded thunderstorm activity down there in the south. In fact, I want to go a little bit further south and west of New York and Philly. Let's go to Washington, Sterling, Virginia. You see again this last area of moisture crossing through southeastern Pennsylvania, portions of Delaware, southern Jersey. And again, as you look further back to the west, there are some showers scattered about across portions of West Virginia and portions of Maryland and Northern Virginia. But again, nothing like what we were looking at earlier in the afternoon when there was a fuller slate of precipitation falling in, again, portions of central Pennsylvania and Maryland and Northern Virginia. Again, all of that beginning to peter out or diminish somewhat as we progress now into the overnight hours tonight. Any place that you want to specifically want to look at, Joe? Or
Um, there's some big storms in western South Dakota
oh well,
for our western South Dakota viewers.
so let's go to South Dakota. We'll go to Rapid City, and you can see that crossing over into western South Dakota is in a line of showers and embedded heavy thunderstorms. I do believe, if I know my geography correctly, here's Colorado and here is Wyoming, and all of this activity again shifting from west to east into the western end of South Dakota and actually moving through Rapid City as I speak to you now. So some heavy activity going on way out there for any of you who are, contemplating going out to the Dakotas in the next few hours. There
And
you go.
why don't you go to Flagstaff, Arizona?
For good, you mean? Oh no,
No,
excuse me.
no.
Uh, well, Flagstaff, Coconino. You remember the old Crazy Cat cartoons, Coconino County? Anyway, Flagstaff is showing scattered showers and also some embedded areas of thunderstorms. These don't seem to be moving west to east. These seem to be moving kind of on a almost a random scale to the west and southwest, and again flaring up every now and then. So this activity, I'm not sure if you can call these monsoonal rains. This is monsoon season now in Arizona, and it's quite possible that this is related to this seasonal outbreak of precipitation that they see out in the Arizona area, the desert southwest.
All right, and I'm going to switch to the full U.S. satellite loop, so you can take a look at everything from coast to coast and where all the lightning strikes are. And there's also some active thunderstorm activity going on in Mississippi and parts of Louisiana. And as Joe pointed out, you've got the monsoonal action going on in the southwest. Looks like the moisture coming up through Mexico and then heading north from there. But head to the coastal area, closer to the coastal areas, it's just about cloud free from Washington State all the way down into Southern California. And as far as risk for thunderstorms tonight, there's that marginal risk that SPC put up this morning from Northeast Virginia to northern New England, and it played out pretty much according to plan. The Dakota's getting their big storms, and they're inside that slight risk area. In a good chunk of South Dakota, there's a 2% tornado risk with that tonight as those storms continue to play through. Tomorrow, they're not indicating any severe weather risk. In fact, SPC has drawn a line from roughly Caribou to the northwestern corner of Connecticut, and then cutting across northern New Jersey down into central Maryland. And from there, north and west, they're saying no thunderstorms there. But along the coastal plain, yes, I don't know, maybe they might want to nudge that line a little bit further to the west. Don't have to go a lot further west, but maybe a little bit further west. And in general, thunderstorm activity continuing across the south. We have severe weather risk in eastern North Dakota and northwestern Minnesota tomorrow, and that is with a 2% tornado risk. And then as we move on to Friday, there's marginal risk from south to eastern South Dakota across much of Minnesota, northern Iowa, and western Wisconsin. General thunderstorm risk from Virginia to Florida, westward to eastern Texas. And as far as rainfall is concerned, now this is from 8 o'clock tonight on, so some of what's going on tonight is included in this. 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half between now and next Wednesday night. Now there'll be another front along the way late in the weekend, and you can see that's probably why the amounts are a little higher there. 3/4 of an inch to an inch and a half in patches in Virginia, North and South Carolina, into Georgia, down to Florida, west to Louisiana. Just convective stuff that continues to pop up, and then you see all the moisture that's out in the Atlantic. So some of that is in relation to Erin, which at that point could be a hurricane and even a major hurricane. In Wisconsin to Minnesota and in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, we were looking at an inch and a half to as much as 3 inches over the next week. And also in Washington State, the western half of Washington, several inches or more of rain. It's a little high for this time of year for them. And things seem to be maybe
Yeah,
happening
this
a
is
little
not,
sooner.
Washington State and Oregon, they look forward to June, July, and August because in a region where it's almost day by day, clouds and rain and drizzle and fog during the winter time, they
Right.
look forward to this time of the year. This is their dry season. In fact, in June, they have in Portland, Oregon, the big Rose Festival to celebrate the dry weather. So for them to get as much precipitation out in the Pacific Northwest as what you're just talking about, Joe, that is a bit on the unusual side.
Yeah, it really is. But you know, things happen when they happen. Uh,
Yes.
you don't really have control over this sort of stuff. All right, let's talk about Erin, which is getting better organized. You can see that the went from looking very ragged yesterday to much less ragged this evening. Convection is blowing up. There's a nice looking core there. And the one thing that's been happening today, for much of the day, it's been taking a course south of due west. So it's actually lost latitude and gotten closer to that 15-degree north line. And it still seems to be, they're carrying west, but I'm thinking maybe it might be a little still moving south of west. And you're starting to see some feathering of the high cloudiness in the to the north and also to the south. So we mentioned the last couple of days that it needed to get west of 45 degrees, 50 degrees west, where water temperatures are over 29 C, whereas the waters where it's been have been much cooler. So it's getting into a place, and you'll also notice in terms of the what's going on the loop that there's no shear going on. You don't see clouds getting blown away from southwest to northeast or from west to east. It's in it is in an environment for strengthening. There seems to be less in the way of dry air around. There also seems to be uh, much less of the Saharan dust that was impacting this. But we'll see how it goes as we move along during the night and into tomorrow. Now, the last advisory at 16.3 north. Remember, yesterday was in the 17s. It's at 16.3 north, 45.0 west. Top winds are 50 miles an hour now, and it's moving west a little slower than what it was moving at yesterday. It went from 22 to 20. Now it's at 17 miles per hour. And you see the track west and then turning it west northwest during during the day tomorrow or tomorrow night. Well, we'll see how that goes. And strengthening it to a hurricane Thursday night into Friday morning, because at that point it's well west of 50 degrees west, and it should be able to do that. And still forecasting it to become a major hurricane, but that might not happen until late Saturday or Sunday. And you see the gradual turn toward the northwest. The forecast from the Hurricane Center has been shifted a little bit to the left, a little bit to the west over the last couple of advisories, particularly after looking at some of the guidance packages that came out for this during this afternoon. And I want to just give you a viewpoint here of the intensity models, which the vast majority of them take this up to a category 3. Some of them as early as 24 hours from now. I kind of think that that's a rush. That's not going to happen. But 48 beyond 48 hours, yeah, then I think there's a chance that we could see these category 3 type numbers. And we've got several models also eventually taking it up to a Cat 4. We'll see. You have to get it to a Cat 3 first before it gets to a Cat 4. But the intensity models continue to show the idea of gradual strengthening here to go on over the next couple of days. The forecast hurricane tracking models are kind of interesting on the last run during the middle part of the afternoon. Uh, Tightly clustered. They start the turn to the northwest. Most of the models are recurving it, turning it north and north-northeast between 65 west and 70 west. But there are a few more outliers this time around that want to get it left of 70. So that's an interesting development from what I saw this afternoon. But again, it's still to me in the context that this is going to eventually recurve out. But there are also some global model indications here where we're seeing some changes, and I want to go through them with you just to show you what's going on. And if you think back about maybe 3 or 4 days ago when we saw all these tracks of, especially on the European, which seemed to have been relentless in the long range. They had like 4 or 5 runs in a row where it was, taking it right up the East Coast or just inland of the coast, all the way up into New England. And then, of course, we've seen this change. And one of the things that it was doing early on was how it was handling this northern part of the jet stream. Now, I've got the GFS up here first because I want to show you what the GFS is doing, and then we'll switch over to the European. So the 18Z run has gone to the left of where it was from the 12Z and where it was from the 6Z. So it's made that change. And the thing I want everybody to focus on are a couple of things. First off, you've got that weakness in that Atlantic ridge, and then you see the Plains ridge is out here, and the Atlantic ridge is kind of weakened a bit here. So that creates an opening, a potential escape hatch. Also, notice that you've got this northwest flow that runs from south central Canada across the Great Lakes into the Northeast and down into the Mid Atlantic. I mean, as far south as say central Virginia into the Delmarva Peninsula. So it doesn't have to get too far north where it's going to wind up getting caught in that flow. Over time, what seems to be happening is if we look at the GFS, there's a short wave in here, which the GFS is not really doing very much with it. The northern stream continues to remain pretty strong. It pulls up a little, and then that trough strengthens. You see that increasing blue area extending from an upper low in eastern Labrador. That strengthens. So the whole idea here is that, yeah, okay, it does go a little bit further west, and now the GFS brings it to about 70 west, but it still winds up getting caught in the escape hatch because this trough to the west isn't doing very much. Now I'm going to switch over to the European. And this is what the European model was showing back several days ago and beyond when it was in the long range. And I saw this today, John. I don't know if you gave this a look. But there's a significant difference in the positioning of the European versus the GFS. And one of the main reasons is you've got this short wave that the GFS you could barely see is much more defined on the European as well as on the icon. Okay, just want to point it out. The European is not the only one that's doing this. The icon is doing the same thing. And what happens is that short wave amplifies to some extent and takes this and just sort of picks it up and wants to bring it pretty close to the outer banks of North Carolina before it ejects it out to the northeast. So I don't want to completely say the European is wrong here. It is the furthest left of all the models, but if the model is right about this shortwave that's coming into the western lakes and dropping southeastward, it does merit some caution.
Yeah, and in fact, if you say that Aaron gives a glancing blow to the outer banks of North Carolina, we were talking the last couple of days about Newfoundland, and it again doesn't make landfall. It looked the last couple of days, it looked like Newfoundland was in the crosshairs, but now if you follow along this projected trajectory for Aaron based upon the European, it will again just barely graze Newfoundland as well. Is it possible that this storm system may completely miss all land areas and just sail away to the north and east after passing Atlantic Canada in a few days? We'll certainly know.
It does bring, I mean, it does bring a little bit of rain to, the immediate coast of Nova Scotia, and it does get some of the heavier rain into the eastern half of Newfoundland, but the actual center does pass offshore on its way up toward between Greenland and Iceland
Right,
on the
right.
European. I'm showing that on the screen
Well,
now.
I'm not saying a complete miss. We're talking about landfall. We're talking about the
Right.
center of the storm making contact with either North Carolina or with Newfoundland. But certainly, if you live in North Carolina and you're following along according to the European, if the European is correct, you'll be getting some squally weather for a few hours as the storm center passes just offshore to your east, and the same probably holds true for the coastal plain of Nova Scotia, and also for the coastal plain of or the southeastern coast of Newfoundland.
Now I do have the 18Z European on Pivotal, and I just want to do a comparison here. So on the 18Z, now this is only goes out to 144 hours, so this takes us to next Tuesday afternoon. On the 18Z, it's at 26.1 north and 72.7 west. So that's on the 18Z. So now I'm going to go back to the 12Z for the same time frame. So that would be the 150 hour, the old 150. Okay, so that's 150. And on the 150, on the old run, it was at 26.4. And I'm guessing, I'm doing the best I can to doing it eyeballing with the cursor so I can get the latitude and longitude virtually on the same spot. So 26, let me make sure I got this right. Uh, 26.3. I'm trying to get the base of the L. 26.3 and 72 and a half. So it's roughly 2/10 of a degree further to the right, very ever so slightly to the right. It's virtually in the same spot. And the other thing I would be interested in, because it's got this surface low in northern Wisconsin, and that's with that short wave. And I want to take a look at what the 500 looks like with that, to take a look at the upper air and take a look and see what that short wave looks like. So this is on the old run. You can see the jet here, and that shortwave comes and it makes a sharp right turn once it reaches just it's offshore North Carolina, this far to the left. The 18Z is probably going to be close to the same, but we'll take a look. It goes out to the end. And see now it doesn't have the definition of the shortwave is for some reason on the 18Z is not quite as obvious, but it is there on the 18Z versus the 12Z. But it's still trying to take this as far west as it can before it's going to be forced to turn it north and then northeast. So we're not learning anything new. I would certainly not use any of this to make any kind of a conclusion. I think we're still part in that variable area, but it is a little bit eyebrow raising that the European was as far left as it was today.
Well, we're following the movement of these systems. Don't forget sheer momentum. I mean, a storm is moving at a certain speed and begins to recurve. It's not going to recurve precisely along the projected track. It may continue for a while longer out to the west before it finally does the recurvature. So it'll be interesting to see if the European has the correct idea of pushing it as far to the left or as far to the west as opposed to the other models. Everybody often refers to the European as the king, and they've been doing
Nobody
that.
nobody calls it that anymore.
They really,
That that that's so 2012.
I mean, they're thinking about Sandy and the great job that it did, and still people in the back of their minds like to think that perhaps that particular model has. I realize, of course, that there are more ensemble models that go into the European as opposed to, let's say, the GFS. But the European has had its bad times as well as the good times. But we'll see whether or not if it does well with this storm, everybody's going to go racing back to the European. I predict. So
Well, here's the ensembles. Here's the European ensemble from today. And the it definitely to the left of prior ensemble runs. The mean position is to the left. It gets to about 72 or 3, and then turns to the northeast, which would make sense because you're still, the one thing that stops this from going all the way up the coast is the fact that you've got northwest winds in the upper atmosphere, pretty much all across New England, down through New Jersey. So it could only if you would need that to pull out completely in order for this to be able to move northward. I just don't think that that's going to happen, and you see it here. It's still turning it out to the northeast. I want to just go back to the icon for a moment because I think the icon, interestingly, you see what it does in the upper air. When you look at these puzzle pieces, and I want to go to the 12Z run today, but you can see the puzzle pieces here with this, and you'll notice that you see the short wave in the Great Lakes. There's right in there, and here's your northwest winds in New England and up into eastern Canada, and then as we go through time, that short wave tries to actually drop, southward to some extent. So for this to keep going straight north, you got to pull those winds. I mean, I'm looking at the upper air winds, Joe, the wind barbs here. It's mostly northwest and west winds in northern New Jersey, New York City, off the southeast coast of New England. And you've got westerly winds off the New Jersey coast and out into the open water. So, it's going to get caught by that unless you get that whole trough in Canada to pull up. And that seems unlikely to occur. So I still think there's no issue for the Northeast or for the northern Mid-Atlantic states. Probably a little bit concerned for the Outer Banks of North Carolina at this point if that left trend continues.
okay, well we'll see how this all pans out. It's a day by day thing. Of course, we're here again tomorrow, but as Joe alluded to at the beginning of the show, I really don't think that it'll be necessary for us to be on Friday or Saturday. But anyway,
All
we'll
right.
be watching the movement of this carefully over the course of the next. I still, thinking back 20, 30 years ago, again, even up till now, this would have been just an item in the news and they would have moved on. But some news outlets are treating this as if it was a potential threat, not just to the Outer Banks, but to the entire Atlantic seaboard. In fact, one forecaster on one of the evening national newscasts said, "I will be watching this for you, and if there are any changes, I will be the first to tell you." And I'm rolling my eyes. I'm saying, I thought, well, what changes? What Is it really going to be necessary to be concerned about any changes? So far, there hasn't. And yeah, the fact that the European is trying to push this a little further to the left is a little bit of an eye opener. But still, I wouldn't be too concerned. I wouldn't get too upset about most places in the eastern United States and also Bermuda in getting significant effects from this particular storm. Sure, it'll ramp up and may very well become a Cat 3 or 4, but again, a fish storm for the most part. And
Yeah, the beaches are going to get the beaches are going to get roughed up a bit later
yeah,
next week.
well, the red flags will certainly have to go up,
Yeah,
and the lifeguard, you know, those lifeguards will have their work cut out for them. And there's always somebody out there at the beach in this type of situation that wants to challenge the undertow or the rough seas or the swell. And if you're a lifeguard and you're sitting up there looking out, you're literally standing on your chair and blowing your whistle as loud as you can and then waving to get those dummies out of the water. But yeah, there'll be a few of those this upcoming weekend, I'm sure.
all right. Thriller Jeopardy time. We're
Yes,
doing retired hurricanes. So yesterday we did A and B. Today it's C because we have 9 retired names beginning with the letter C. So the chat board, get ready. 9 retired. Michael McGuire kicks it off with Camille.
yeah.
And Camille is on the list. So is Rich Rothmansky with Carla. And David Daniel Seismic Coywolf with Charlie. And Patrick Darcy, William Uber Carroll, all on the list. Boy, you guys just knocked 4 of them, actually almost alphabetically here. Camille, Carla, Carol, very good. And yes, Joe, Kenny Salerno, and Michael McGuire, Celia, and
Yes.
Caesar from Rich Rothmansky. That one I was thinking would probably, you know, might not make it. Carol is correct. Chuck Cardillo, Joe Gaffney with Carol, and Anthony with Connie. So you've run through just C, Anthony, not D, C. So, Joe, we've got Camille, Carla, Carol, Celia, Caesar, Charlie, and Connie. So we got 3 left that were not mentioned. Would you
How
like
about
to?
Yogi? How about Yogi Berra's wife, Carmen?
Very good. 1975, Hurricane Carmen, which now leaves us 2. Wait, 2 or 1? Hold on. Camille, Carla, Carmen, Carol, Celia, Caesar, Charlie. 1 left. There is 1 left.
And you thought that might be Caesar, who would be the last one.
I thought Caesar wouldn't get called, but there's 1 left and it's a slightly unusual name. I'm rolling back to see if anybody has mentioned it, and no one has. So, but 7 for 7. There's 1 left, Joe. Can you guess?
No.
Hmm.
Did we do Charlie?
We did Charlie. Yes, we
We did
did.
Charlie.
There's 1 more.
Slightly unusual.
Slightly unusual. It's not a name that you hear very often. And up, Mark D42. Very good. Cleo.
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 Cleo wasn't Cleo the name of the dog on a situation comedy back in the 1950s that was voiced by Mary Jane Croft. What
I
was
could.
that? What was the name? What was the
Uh,
name of that show?
you're asking the wrong person. I don't know.
Yeah, oh, yeah, and you know what? Now there's like a Rolodex in my head, and it's just going to keep flicking and flicking and flicking until I remember the name of that. It was a situation comedy, and it was the dog's name was Cleo, And every so often in this situation comedy, the camera would focus on Cleo. Cleo would look into the camera as if she was talking to you, and the voice of Cleo
Was
was Mary
Mary Jane Croft. The name of the show, Joe, was called The People's Choice.
the People's Choice. That's
All right.
right.
It aired on what network?
I think it was CBS, right?
No, it was not
No,
CBS.
it was
No,
not CBS.
no.
I saw the reruns on
It did
CBS.
not air on the Can't Be Serious network. It aired on one of the other networks. Would you like to guess? There's only
Was it ABC?
ABC. I don't think was around in '58. I think it was still the Dumont network. Which leaves you with
NBC?
NBC, the Nothing But Crap network, uh, from 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 1955 to 1958, and it was primarily sponsored by.
Oh, I don't know the sponsor. I saw
Oh,
the
when I tell you you're going to be when I tell you you're going to be upset that you didn't know it. The
was it
Borden Company,
the Borden Company. Okay.
Borden Milk.
See,
Do you know
I
who
saw.
over? Do you know who oversaw the production of the series?
I don't know Bob Cummings.
Nope. McCadden Productions. George Burns.
Okay.
And it stars Jackie Cooper as Socrates Sock Miller, who is a former Marine Korean War veteran and a young politician living in fictitious New City, California. Sock has a basset hound named Cleo, whose thoughts voiced by Mary Jane Croft. Baleful observations of Sock's dilemmas are recorded on the soundtrack for the viewer's amusement. The real name of the dog Cleo was
Oh, I don't know, Joe. What?
Bernadette.
Bernadette. Okay.
So there you go.
I remember watching The People's Choice. They always showed it only early in the morning, like at 6:30 or 7:30 in the morning on weekends, for whatever reason. And for whatever reason, I remember when it was Christmas time on Christmas morning, they always seemed to run an episode of The People's Choice. And I became intrigued. A dog supposedly that could talk to everybody on TV. Didn't know until later that look at that. Oh, there you go. There's Jackie Cooper.
Yeah, and I don't know who's behind him, but I do recognize him.
Yeah, a character actor who appeared on a number of TV shows.
And also in a number of movies. I know I can't remember his name, but I know who he is. He was in You Can't Take It With You. He was in, I think, Meet John Doe. He always played like evil banker types.
See, and there may be one or two people on the chat board who'll say something like, "How did these two end up talking about old time TV again?" But again, the name Cleo, one of the retired hurricane names that triggered a memory in
You
my
can
cranium. So,
you can get you get all sorts of weather information, and then you get lots of useless information.
station
You
here
know,
on the Joe and Joe
here
Weather
on
Show.
right, which airs Sunday through Thursday at 7:35 p.m.
Harold
So
Olson, I would think that Jackie Cooper has passed.
yes.
I'd be amazed if he was still
Well,
alive.
Jackie Cooper, by the way, aside from the fact that he's, I mean, here's a guy who goes back to the 1920s. Okay. Um, but I worked with his son at WPIX.
Wow.
And yeah, he was a cameraman, floor manager, and so on. And Jackie Cooper I'm sorry, he directed a number of episodes of one of you
MASH.
MASH. Yes,
Yes. Yes.
quite a few episodes of MASH, in fact. So I mean,
Right.
he's had a quite he has had quite a history of in the
He is
movie and television business. So
he is no longer with us, but he did live to have a good long life, 88 years. Was born in 1922 and he passed away in May of 2011.
yep, yep. All right. I think we should go now.
Okay, I think
I think
yeah, I
it's
think
time to go. And yeah, we'll be back tomorrow night at 7:35 to finish off our usual weekly schedule. And hope. Oh, by the way, Cecilia had yes, you're right about FETV. They're replacing Quincy with the Jeffersons. They're doing a whole schedule revamp. Because I watched, they air 3 episodes of Perry Mason every day, so I watch those. I'm watching those. But Joe, one of the funny things, and they corrected this. Thankfully, it only was for one night, but uh, back
Oh, one
once.
other thing I just realized: Jackie Cooper. He was also in the Superman movie series.
Yes,
He played
yes,
Perry White.
that's right.
Yep.
No, but going back to FETV, they were running Perry Mason episodes, and the audio was like 5 seconds out of sync with the actors, you know, with
So
the
it looked
mouth.
like something out of Japanese
Oh
TV
my
or
God, yes, it was hard. There was a stretch many, many months ago. There was a stretch where it lasted for like a month, and it makes the show really unwatchable.
yeah.
Or also, in that other time when they were having problems, they were having wholesale computer problems where um, the the show would just kind of go into slow motion or stop or roll back, rewind, all on the air. And apparently, I don't know. I guess maybe some part broke and they had to wait a month for it to fix. I have no idea, but yeah, they fixed the audio problem. Thank God it was only for one day. So, um, anyhow, uh, yeah, we'll
And
be back.
and Jackie Cooper's autobiography, by the way, which sounds like something that a former governor of South Dakota might have written. Please don't shoot my dog. Published in 1982. That was Jackie Cooper's autobiography, and the reason for the
Oh,
title,
that's right, because he was in the Champ.
he had his director uh, needed Jackie Cooper to cry a number of times on camera. To
Right.
accomplish that, the director used various tricks intended to upset him. For example, one time he ordered a security guard to go backstage and pretend to shoot Cooper's dog. The stunt resulted in genuine tears from Cooper. And so he decided to use that incident as the title for his autobiography. Please don't shoot my dog.
That's a pretty mean thing to do to a kid, you know,
Yeah.
or even an adult.
Yep.
All right, I will. We'll be back tomorrow night, folks, and hopefully we could put a little more clarity on what Erin's going to do and how it's going to do it. So we'll see everybody tomorrow night, and hope you have a great day tomorrow. Bye bye.
Buy bonds.